I feel like I was looking forward to Silent Hill Ascension more than most people, but even I am greatly disappointed at the dumpster fire that was last night's premiere. I am a huge fan of the Silent Hill franchise, and I'm sure you are too if you're watching this video. And when we got the Silent Hill transmission broadcast to us last year, I was ecstatic. I was so happy and so excited to get back to a franchise that means so much to me, that has been dead and MIA for basically a decade. Obviously, Silent Hill 2 Remake is the big one. I cannot wait to play that. Silent Hill F looks insane. Silent Hill Townfall, we don't know much about, but I'm still really curious what that's going to be. But amongst all of those huge announcements was another announcement, that of Silent Hill Ascension. And when it was first announced, we didn't really know what it was. But the more and more information that was released to us, we learned that it was basically a long cutscene broken up to basically be a TV show that you watched on an app and that the community could watch live together, and you could vote. You could vote for decisions that the characters made, and you could vote for where the plot went. Now, most people, as soon as Silent Hill Ascension was announced, had just bad thoughts, bad things to say. And I'm not saying they're incorrect for thinking that way. But me personally, I considered Silent Hill Ascension to just be a bonus. I considered Silent Hill 2 Remake and Silent Hill F to be the big announcements. And if they had just announced those two things, I'm sure everyone would have been happy. And then I considered the bonuses to be Silent Hill Townfall and Silent Hill Ascension. So just icing on the cake, you know, not much harm, not much foul. But last night was the premiere of Silent Hill Ascension, and I watched it, and my God, is it just gross and predatory and an insult to the Silent Hill franchise. But before I get too far into this video, consider subscribing. Like I said, I love Silent Hill, but I also love horror gaming in general, and I talk about it all the time on this page. I review new horror games all the time, but I also talk about horror TV shows and horror movies, and I do trailer reactions and that sort of thing. And again, 90% of what I do on this page leans towards horror, so just consider subscribing if you're interested in that. First, I'm going to talk more about what Silent Hill Ascension seems to be, and then I'm going to talk about the plot. So like I mentioned earlier, Silent Hill Ascension is going to be broken up into weekly episodes, or daily episodes if you count scenes as episodes. The premiere episode was 24-ish minutes long, and then each day we're going to get a couple minute long scene, and then at the end of the week, all those scenes compiled together are going to make that week's episode. And then this process is going to last about 6 months. Seems cool, seems interesting, seems like something that the Silent Hill community could do together and talk about and discuss, which I guess is still what we're doing. And I was really excited at the idea of the community voting for what would happen, what decisions the characters would make, and where the plot would go. However, they took that core concept of Silent Hill Ascension, the basic concept that the whole idea of Silent Hill Ascension is built around, and monetized the shit out of it to the point where it's just not fun, and it's stupid, and it's pointless. And I feel like if you spend your money on something like this, you're kind of, I'm not going to say dumb, but so instead of doing the cool thing, instead of doing the normal thing, which would be letting people vote on each decision and let them vote once, and then whichever decision won the vote, that's what happened. That would be the right thing to do, that would be the simple thing to do, that would be the thing to do to make everyone feel like their vote matters, their vote counts. That would also incentivize me, and I'm sure other people, to watch it live, to actually vote, to actually care about the plot, to actually discuss the options with the community. But instead, you get to vote as many times that you want. Each vote costs 200 currency. I don't know what they call their currency in this app, but you have a currency. Each vote costs 200 of it. And of course, like any mobile app, like any pay-to-win game, I guess you would call this, you get to buy that currency. So theoretically, someone could drop 100 real-life dollars on this currency, and I'm sure there are people like that for some reason, and then just drop all that currency into one decision. And to me, that's not fun. That's not basing the game based off of votes and community decision making. That's basing the game and basing the story off of who has the most money. And also, I don't know this for sure, but I have a very strong feeling that the different choices don't really affect the story that much. For example, the very first choice that you could make was this character, and you could choose if you told her to run, to finish a prayer, or to beg for mercy. And if I'm remembering correctly, the choice that the community made was for her to finish the prayer. But at the end of that scene, she ended up dying. So I have a feeling if she ran, she'd die. If she finished the prayer, she obviously died. And if she begged for mercy, she probably would have died as well. So I have a feeling the decision that the community is making is just changing a 10 to 15 minute cutscene that leads to the same cutscene of the same actual outcome. And obviously Silent Hill Ascension is monetized in every other way that you would expect something like this to be monetized. For example, there is a battle pass, but it's not called a battle pass. It's called a founder's pack, I believe, and it's 20 real life dollars. And in that battle pass, you just get stickers and more currency and customization options for your character. And the reason you have a character is because maybe your character will be chosen to have a cameo in the episode that you're watching. But anyway, enough about the technical aspects of Silent Hill Ascension. It still has a plot though, right? Maybe the plot is enjoyable. Maybe the story is cool. Maybe despite all the monetization bullshit and everything that drags this whole project down, it could still have an enjoyable story that you watch week to week. This episode was broken up into two storylines happening. One was about this cult of very average people. I believe it was called the Foundation. And they were trying to recruit a new girl to their cult, but she messed up the prayer ritual thing and she ended up getting killed by a monster. And now they're dealing with her brother who's angry about it, and the person who started the ritual is feeling some sort of guilt, maybe if the community votes for her to feel that way. And this whole plot line just doesn't interest me. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of Silent Hill. I know that the lore of Silent Hill centers around cults and stuff like that. But what is so interesting about Silent Hill as a concept and most Silent Hill stories is you can tell that the lore is very vast and very interesting, and there's a lot going on. But us as the player, seeing this narrative through the perspective of whichever main character of whichever game you're playing, doesn't get a lot of that knowledge. And a lot of the creepiness and a lot of what people love, at least me, what I love about the plot and the lore of Silent Hill is knowing how vast it is, but never really getting full answers. And now I'm not saying that this Foundation cult has all the answers to Silent Hill. I'm not saying that they're the ones creating Silent Hill and they know everything. And I actually don't believe that's the case. But it's clear that these characters know more and have access to more knowledge than the vast majority of Silent Hill characters. And I just don't trust this studio, these developers, to have access to that lore, to be able to create it in that way. And I just love Silent Hill the most when the main characters don't know what's going on at all. And then the other plot line that's happening, which is more interesting to me at least, takes place in Sweden. And it's about this guy named Carl, whose wife seems very abusive to him. And she's sick and she ends up dying. And Carl's daughter kind of suspects that maybe he's responsible for killing his wife, her mother. And when Carl's outside, he gets attacked by these monsters, and as he's running away, he enters what looks like a clear representation of one of the other dimensions of Silent Hill. And that plotline is more traditional Silent Hill. You have traditional looking monsters, you have the real world transitioning to the other world. So this plotline is still more interesting to me, but it's still nothing to write home about. At least not yet, but I am going to say I'm not writing off Silent Hill Ascension fully yet. I'm still going to give them, I guess, the benefit of the doubt. Not in terms of their app and their structure and whether or not it's going to be monetized to oblivion, but I'm still going to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the narrative. At the end of the day, it's just so disappointing to me that Silent Hill has been, again, dead for a decade. And this is the first thing they choose to reintroduce the franchise to an audience a decade later. Anyway, have you experienced Silent Hill Ascension yet? Did you watch the premiere? If you did you enjoy it? If you did, let me know why, because I can see someone enjoying this, and I'm not gonna call you wrong if you did. I just want to know why. And if you have no interest in Silent Hill Ascension, yeah, just thank you for even watching this video this long, honestly. Consider subscribing once again, and thank you for watching, especially if you watched this far.